Hi, everyone. I'm Rob Taylor, and I lead the Vanderbilt REDCap development team. Thanks for joining us today, and I'll be talking about the REDCap software, what's new and what's next. So first off, I'll talk about what we've added into REDCap over the past year or so, all the new features, and then we'll talk about some of the exciting stuff that is coming here in REDCap pretty soon. First off, one exciting feature that we added into REDCap about a year ago was support for repeating instruments and events in automated survey invitations. This was a very big deal because automated survey invitations have been around for many years, and repeating instruments and events have been around for many years as well. But we'd never actually had the opportunity to kind of marry these two together to allow ASIs to work as like infinitely repeating types of invitations that are being sent out. So you can set this if you're setting up your automated survey invitation in the online designer. You can go through this step, and if the survey is a repeating instrument or it exists on a repeating event, you'll get this new step 4 option right here that says how many times to send it, and then you'll be able to send the invitation for that survey on a recurring basis. Essentially, it will be triggered initially, and then you can specify how often that the recurring invitation will be sent after that. You can let it send forever, or you can send it just a certain number of times. So it's really, really nice to be able to utilize that. It's really helpful for like daily surveys or weekly surveys or even monthly or yearly surveys that you have a specific interval that you need to send out that invitation, but you don't want to have to get into like a complex situation where you're building like a longitudinal project with many different events. So this way you can just use a standard repeating instrument or repeating survey and just have it set and kind of send on a recurring basis as much as you want. So check out that feature. It's really, really nice. Another cool feature we've added into REDCap over the past year is the integration of the MyCap external module. So some of you may have used MyCap before. It did exist as an external module, but now it has been formally integrated into REDCap itself. So it does exist as an app for iOS and Android. You can still download those and use those with the external module, but we are getting ready to stop supporting that pretty soon. As of June 2023, we'll stop supporting the external module, and we're pushing people to use the new built-in version of MyCap. So the built-in version means that it no longer needs to be used as an external module. It's just a native part of REDCap that exists in a project. You can turn it on at the very top of the project setup page in a project. And once you do that, you'll see all kinds of new things that appear in the project to use for MyCap. And MyCap is used for participant-facing data collection. So it's very similar to surveys in a lot of ways, where you can set up all of your what we call active tasks in MyCap, and instead of people taking them as a survey on a web page, they use the MyCap app, from iOS or Android on their mobile device and collect data that way. And that way they get nice push notifications and collect data using the app, and it all transfers and synchronizes up to the REDCap server in the end. But there's lots of cool features here to check out, such as publishing your MyCap version, so you can modify the look and feel of the app as it appears to your participants. You can adjust all the different data collection instruments that you're using there with the MyCap tasks. There's lots of different options for managing your MyCap participants, even sending and receiving messages through, to the MyCap app. So you can actually send a push notification directly to a participant if you want to do that. and keep up with these just to see how people are doing with their data collection. And it's also, there's lots of information here on the project setup page. If you click on that link that says learn more about MyCap, you can learn all about how it is used and how it can be used. And there's even like a pretty big PDF document there, the MyCap help document, to get you started. But we're really pushing this. We think it's going to be like a very, very amazing new era of data collection. It's kind of exciting, you know, like when we added surveys into REDCap, that was a very exciting new phase of REDCap data collection. And then the REDCap mobile app, that was another new phase. And now we have MyCap. So it's another way to collect participant data there and sync it up into REDCap. So definitely check out that feature if you've not checked it out. And another cool thing about this is that if you've been using the MyCap external module already, there is a syncing mechanism, a migration tool that will allow you to migrate your existing data for the external module into the MyCap native features that are now built into REDCap. So it makes it that much easier to migrate if you've already been using MyCap as the external module. Another exciting feature that we added into REDCap is the file repository revamp. Essentially, we added a lot more organization and a lot more tools into the file repository page in REDCap. This page is a page that's been around in REDCap since the very beginning, the file repository, but we really haven't updated it in a long time. So now, as of earlier this year, it got a big facelift and lots of new features. So now you can actually organize things like you would normally on your local computer or in your cloud-based, you know, file repository, you know, type of service like Google Docs or Box or Dropbox. So very, very similar to those kind of ideas where you can just drag and drop your files there into the file repository. You can create folders if you want to do that. That's another great thing about it. You can name folders, add as many folders as you want, create subfolders. You can limit it to data access groups or specific user roles if you want to do that, or you can just leave it open. You can create, as you can see here, you can create many subfolders that you know, go down the line. There really is no limit to how many folders and subfolders you can create there. And we've also got lots of APIs. So lots of file-based API methods that are specific to the file repository. So that way you can actually import files using API or export them, rename them, put them in different folders, all using the API. So it really is a very exciting tool if you can look at the API documentation to figure out how to utilize it. So definitely check out the new file repository. And we've got lots of other sharing mechanisms as well. So you can share files that are in the file repository. So check that out too. A cool new feature that we've got for comments, for calculations and logic is that we have now inline comments. So in the logic editor, which we use in a lot of different places in REDCap for conditional logic, like data quality rules, report filters, you know, automated survey invitation, conditional logic, as well as branching logic and calculations. We use this logic editor in probably 1 or 2 dozen different places. And if you're building your logic or your calculation, it can become a bit unwieldy. It can become very large and very complex, and it's hard to keep track of exactly what you're trying to do in that logic once it starts to become very big. So what we've added is a way where you can utilize comments. So if you use like a hashtag space, or if you use like a / space at the beginning of a line, as you can see right here, those will become comments. So those are meant to be comments, meaning that those will not be interpreted by REDCap as part of the logic or the calculation, but it's just meant to be an annotation for you to read so you can understand the equation. So it can be really helpful keeping track of what your logic and what your calculations are actually doing once they get pretty complex. Another great feature that we've added into REDCap is the ability to embed images into text and emails. So these are inline images, and it's a feature that's built in to the rich text editor that we can utilize throughout REDCap. It's utilized here. This is just an example from an alert from the alerts and notifications page, but you can also use this for lots of other places when you're defining your field label or your survey instructions or your email for your survey invitation. You just click that little image icon right there in the rich text editor, and it opens up a place where you can upload an image, and then you can put it right there in line in your email or in the text, depending, it works in both places. If it's just text like a field label or survey instructions, it works there in line as well. And if it is something that's going to be sent as an email, it works there seamlessly as well. So definitely check that out. It's a great way to have inline images, without having to do a lot of work. Also, kind of on top of that, talking about the rich text editor, in the latest standard release of REDCap, we have the ability to embed file attachments into text and emails also. So there is a little paperclip icon that you should see there at the right next to that image icon. So you can click on that anywhere that the rich text editor is used. And it opens up a little place where you can upload files, just drag and drop them right in there. And then what it's going to do, it's going to store that file in a special folder in the file repository, and it will give you a direct link, a direct sharing link to that right there in the interface of the rich text editor. So it's really nice. It just shows you right there as a link. So it's kind of an alternative to adding like a literal email attachment, but you can have it be an attachment. Just click there and it will download it from the REDCap server, whether it's being used, like in text, like survey instructions or field labels, or inside an email, like inside a survey invitation or an alert. So it's very, very cool and very handy to be able to do that, because we've never had that ability to attach lots of file attachments, especially for survey invitations, and now you can. All right, that's a lot of great features we've added over the past year. We've got some other great stuff coming up in the next year, so we hope you'll stay tuned for that. But what do we have that's coming next? One of our next big features is something that we've been thinking about for quite a while. It's a feature that we've known has been needed, and I'm sure you've experienced it quite a bit. You've probably had some data import issues at some point. I know all of us have. REDCap, it really started small in the beginning. REDCap is a piece of software that's almost 20 years old now. And it is, sorry for the dog. It is a very old software where it's had a data import tool for a long, long time, but it's been pretty constrained by the server memory. When it's loading data into the REDCap server, and it's having to do a lot of checking of the data and the validation of it and so forth. And it's using memory to do that from the server, and that can be a bit constrained. So all that to say, I'm sure all of you have gotten these kind of timing issues where you just kind of run out of time. The page times out when you upload a very large data file. Also, you might actually hit that memory limit error. If you have you're trying to import 100,000 records or maybe even 10,000 records, and it just says sorry, but it just ran out of memory for whatever reason, and it's pretty, it's pretty frustrating sometimes for a lot of people. And oftentimes it tells you to just cut the file into multiple pieces and try to upload those, and then maybe it'll eventually go in, and that's annoying too, because you never know exactly when it's going to hit that threshold where it's going to work or where it's not going to work, and it's not always obvious either, not even for us. So what we're thinking about are ways to really improve this process with data imports, especially when you're dealing with large data uploads, and that's where we're adding asynchronous data import for large data uploads. This means that you won't have to wait anymore. You can just upload your file. Maybe it has a little bit of data, maybe it has a lot of data. The idea is that it's meant more for large data uploads, maybe thousands of records or tens or hundreds of thousands of records or even bigger. And you upload it and it just says, thanks, I got your file. I'm going to import it asynchronously using a background process in REDCap, which sometimes known as a cron job. And whenever it's done importing all your data, it'll send you an email letting you know the progress of it. You know, did it finish? Did it finish with errors? If there were any kind of errors, it will let you know what the errors were, and you can even download a lot of your data that did not import, so that you can actually fix it, look at the errors and fix the data, and then try to import it again. It'll just be a new feature on the data import page where you'll upload it, and then you'll be able to view all of your background processes here, all the different background imports, especially over time, to see, you know, did they complete? Did any of them fail? Were there any errors? And this isn't the final version of it. There'll be sort of an option here as well where you can download those errors and download the data that did not import, like I mentioned. But it'll be a nice way to view the progress of the records that you've imported there, even listing the original file name and who uploaded it, how many records were imported, how long did it take, how many errors there were, and all the completion times. But it's going to be really nice, the fact that you can just upload it and you don't have to sit there on the page like you always have to, just waiting and hoping that data will finally import. And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But with this feature coming probably in July or later of this year, you'll be able to utilize it, and you won't have to worry so much about it. You won't have to wait. It'll just upload, and you'll get a nice email whenever everything is done and imported. So it's very exciting, and we're working hard on this feature and other features that we can't quite talk about yet, but stay tuned on REDCap community, and just stay tuned on our Friday calls as well, and other calls that we have in the consortium. And you'll find out about all the different other exciting features that we're going to be pushing out over the next year. So thanks again for having me here. It's very exciting, and hope you all have a great day. Thank you.